On today's show, a story about our closest star, the one we hail in the morning, celebrate in the evening, all about the sun. Next, a nature show for all to see on Minnesota's Lake Osakis, and it's happening now. The dance of Western Grebes. Later, we'll remember a grandpa and his love of wrens, those feathered singers of summer joy. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this special edition of Minnesota Bound. We call it our Legacy Show, featuring some of my stories, old and new. Now, Raven is on vacation, so to speak, has the day off. We begin with a story about our largest star, the one we worship in the summer on our beaches, and the one we love to see on cold winter days. All about the sun. We Minnesotans tend to have a love-hate relationship with the sun. In winter, we seek beaches to worship the sun. In summer, we hide in its shade. When it's dark and overcast for days, we miss those rays. Yet at sunset, we pause to watch them go away. A few Minnesotans relish a new day, the sun morning rise in the sky. As someone once said, every sunrise is a poem written on the earth. Yet other folks at the dawn of a day prefer to have their eyes closed on a pillow. Nature's critters, too, are touched by the sun in more ways than one. It's been noted, for example, you can't sneak a sunrise past a rooster. The sun might be 93 million miles away, but its impact on all plant and animal life is, well, shall we say, it makes babies. Yes, as the earth tilts toward the sun and the days grow longer, the urge to mate and reproduce intensifies. Wild tom turkeys gobble and strut to attract hens for mating. She also gets in the mood instinctively knowing her eggs need to be fertilized. Migrating sandhill cranes may have thousands of miles to fly, but springtime leads to courtship dances along the way. And who hasn't heard love songs from our feathered friends ringing from the treetops as the days grow longer? Plants may not sing, but plants sense increasing daylight, which triggers flowers to grow and to bloom. The impact of increasing daylight is different for a buck deer. A buck's antlers, his sex appeal, simply come loose and fall to the ground. Interestingly, a buck deer's sex life, known as the rut, is inspired not by longer days, but by decreasing daylight. As the days grow shorter in October and November, a buck's neck swells and his urge to find a receptive doe keeps him on the move. And yes, he has a new set of antlers to show off his buckhood. In truth, the sun guides the life of every plant or animal from tiny flowers to giant moose. Drake mallards are adorned in colorful spring plumage. Black bears get shiny new spring coats. And let's not forget how we learned to use a light bulb to fool chickens. Yes, many a farmer has turned on the lights in the hen house to fool chickens into laying eggs ahead of springtime. So, it's no wonder the center of our universe is a star we call the sun. Now you know it does more than make sunburns. Keep in mind, nothing lasts forever. Scientists predict the sun is gonna burn out, go dark, in about 5 billion years. That's nothing for a rooster to crow about. When we return, we're heading to Minnesota's Lake Osakis, where western grebes put on quite a dancing show, and it's free to watch.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers, by the Yard maintenance-free outdoor furniture, Running Aces Casino, Hotel and Racetrack, and by Aluma Craft Boats.
Up next, one of my favorite stories. It's about a bird that's called the western grebe, found mostly in the western part of the United States, but it also exists on Lake Osakis in Minnesota. And every spring and summer, it does the dance of the western grebe.
And it goes, it's way out here. And what we're witnessing right now is the birds are feeding. When you'll see two birds together, it's very possible it's still a young bird from last year.
Wow. Did you see that one that was right over here a second ago? Holy cow. That was amazing. This is my first western grebe sighting. I can't believe it. This is a first for me and I'm just so excited.
Excited? Understandable. Quick, snap a picture. For Eileen Sabis of Minneapolis, an amateur wildlife photographer, the bird in her viewfinder is not only an interesting subject, it's a rare Minnesota sight, the western grebe.
And that's the noise that they make?
Yes, that noise it's making is he or she is saying, I'm right here. This is where I'm at.
Never heard of the bird? Understandable. As its name implies, this grebe species is common in America's West, but very uncommon in Minnesota, except here on Lake Osakis, which attracts the state's largest concentration of these western visitors.
When I first came up here in 1999, it was in the fall, I did some fishing, and right before the grebes got up to leave to fly west or wherever they go, there was a bunch of them, and I was just intrigued. Their activity and how smart they are, and I've been hooked ever since.
So hooked on grebes, Jim Snyder and his wife Bunny offer pontoon tours for bird lovers interested in this quirk of nature. That's when springtime inspires western grebes to return to Lake Osakis from their coastal wintering grounds out west.
There's a nice adult pair right there. One just dove. Two just dove. A lot of birds. There's got to be, what, 200, 300 birds here. Well, it's getting busy out here. It's funny how it's quiet and all of a sudden everybody gets busy.
For birds, spring is always a busy time, of course. Time for the mating game. The game that inspires one of nature's most awesome moments, the courtship dance of the western grebe.
And when you see it, you'll always remember it.
And when the mating dance is over,
And this is one of their favorite nesting spots.
and when the moment is right, and tourists are invited to watch from the Osakis observation deck.
This is a good spot to see grebes.
Osakis is proud of its feathered tourist attraction.
The mayor proclaimed this will be the official Minnesota home of the western grebe.
As the days of October grow short, these unique birds will eventually leave Osakis and head for warmer haunts. In the meantime, it's almost like they practice waving goodbye. Coming up, it's a small bird with a big voice, a story about house wrens and a grandpa who was their best friend. Stay with us.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Maple Grove Lock and Safe, your premier Liberty safe dealer.
Up next, one of my favorite stories about one of my favorite birds, the house wren. But this also includes a story about an elderly man who is the wren's best friend.
She's talking to me now. There's one up there, but I can't see him, I can just hear him. The sound of that good music.
It's music sung by a feathered flute. The house wren, a summer sound in Minnesota as common as thunder, and pretty loud too, for a bird that weighs about as much as 2/4. But nobody enjoys the wren's repertoire any more than 79-year-old Raymond Schweiss.
It's kind of nice to sit down if you got time and watch how these birds operate. I mean, they know how to make things go.
Indeed, wrens will burst into song as often as 10 times a minute.
I like their noise. Like you can tell, they're singing away now, and they're talking to me. Maybe for some reason that I'm too close to them or something. I don't know, but I mean it's just that I like being around them because it's when they feel good, I feel good.
Amazingly, the joy of wrens is known throughout the Western Hemisphere, from Canada to Chile. And Minnesota's wrens, like many Minnesotans, go south for the winter, but return in springtime.
When they come, then I'd get busy if I even had them done yet, you know.
For more than 2 decades, Ray has built wren houses.
It's a lot of them. I'd say 45, 50 maybe.
Houses of every style.
It's an apple, and the wren has got a nest in there. I didn't think that they'd go in there because being it was red, I thought maybe they'd fly by, but I tell you, didn't take them long, and they started making a nest in there in no time. This one is, well, I made it like a church, and it seems they like it because I stuck my finger in and there's a nest in there. I could feel that. That's my favorite over here.
In fact, the bird's penchant for using man-made nest sites is how the house wren got its name.
This is it. The hole is, I'm twisting it now, if you can see that. Here the wren just come out. He was in his nest.
Male wren sometimes claims several houses, but used only the one preferred by its mate. Of course, as summer wanes, the wren's time in Minnesota comes to an end after raising 1 or 2 families in those little houses.
Makes me feel good that they realize that I made them a nest and they're talking to me back.
By early autumn, our backyards are silent once more. Next spring, when the wrens return to Ray's backyard, something will have changed. Ray won't be there. A few weeks after we filmed this story, Ray passed away. He was 79. Next, our Minnesota Bound Classic remembers a fellow we called the Dragonfly Guy who has plenty to say about a most amazing bug. Enough said. You're watching Minnesota Bound.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut, Adams Pest Control, Rave Sports, Bent Creek Golf Course, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Up next, who hasn't been amazed by a dragonfly? You know, it cavorts around our lake shores, catching bugs, flying like a crazy pilot. Well, we're going to do a story about that dragonfly brought to you by the Dragonfly Guy. From the moment it takes off, nothing in the air flies like a dragonfly. Up, down, and around, forward, backward, faster than the blink of its many eyes.
That's one I saw over there, but I didn't get to catch it.
Dragonflies have been flying with the right stuff for more than 200 million years, scientists say. 4 wings, each controllable for aerial acrobatics. Some 400 species of dragonflies rule the skies over North America, and each takes off for one purpose: to catch and eat other flying insects.
They do eat a lot of mosquitoes. What's interesting about dragonflies is they will catch food in mid-flight and they'll eat, for instance, a mosquito as they're flying.
Yes, they eat in the air, they even mate in the air. They only return to Earth to lay eggs.
They are harmless to humans. They do not bite. If they are diving towards you, it's because you maybe have mosquitoes around your body.
In fact, some folks refer to the dragonfly as the mosquito hawk.
They contribute enormously to the decrease in the population of mosquitoes. They eat around 300 mosquitoes a day, which is quite a bit.
Chuck Carmichael is a Minnesota entrepreneur who thinks the whir of dragonfly wings might be the perfect mosquito repellent.
What I'm doing is I'm setting up a testing area.
Over thousands of years, have mosquitoes learned to fear the sound of dragonfly wings?
This type of system could be used while camping, or it could be used out in the patio, where you would have a speaker system that would create an acoustical bubble that would help push the insects away from your area, not necessary to eliminate them 100%, but to reduce the amount of insects in that area.
To record the beating wings, Chuck developed a dragonfly sound studio of sorts.
What I have is I have a dragonfly, it's a green darner. In my recording process, what I would do, I was come down to this condenser mic, and I would hold it about here, and the dragonfly would flutter up and down. This here is kind of the signature of this recording. This is one of the best ones I've done yet. Oh, isn't that pretty?
But after thousands of years of sharing the skies, is it possible mosquitoes and dragonflies don't listen to each other?
Mosquitoes probably would not care if they heard dragonfly wings or not. Their main purpose is to find some blood protein so they can lay their eggs. Even from what I've read about mosquitoes swarming, dragonflies will fly right through there and doesn't faze the mosquitoes.
There are things out there that haven't been tested, that haven't been tried, and we got to look for those. And I'm just one of those people that's trying to change the way we think. Instead of using chemicals, let's use something different, audio, something that's comfortable to the environment instead of destroying it.
In the meantime, dragonflies do what they've always done: eat mosquitoes, deer flies, and other biting pests. If you ask me, it's dragonflies who are making friendly skies.
There it went.
Ah, the dragonfly, just another character in our great outdoors. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, Bill and Laura will be here next week. I'm Ron Shera. Thanks for watching, and remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.